Today we're going to talk about classifying triangles. So just to review, triangles are polygons. And polygons are a simple closed figure in a plane formed by 3 or more line segments. So quadrilaterals that we already talked about are also polygons. A triangle is a polygon formed by 3 line segments. And we're going to learn how to classify triangles, which can be classified by their angles and by their sides. And this is just a point that you need to keep in mind when you're looking at triangles. All triangles have at least 2 angles that are less than 90 degrees. And then the third angle and its measure will determine the classification of the triangle. So classifying triangles by their angles, we have 3 options: an acute triangle, a right triangle, and an obtuse triangle. So remember I said that 2 angles of a triangle are always less than 90 degrees. It's the third angle that will determine which one of these 3 triangles it is. So let's look at acute first. We have angle 1 and 2 are less than 90 degrees, but angle 3 is also less than 90 degrees. So that makes it an acute triangle. A right triangle, these 2 angles are less than 90, but our third angle is a right angle, which is 90 degrees, and so this makes it a right triangle. And then for our last one, these 2 angles are less than 90, but our third angle is 140 degrees. That's an obtuse angle. So obtuse triangle has one angle that's greater than 90 degrees. Triangles are classified by their sides as well. And just a reminder, congruent sides are marked with a slash through each side. So if I wanted to show that in this equilateral triangle, all the sides are congruent, I can put a slash through each side. And that is the definition of an equilateral triangle. It has 3 congruent sides. An isosceles triangle has 2 congruent sides. And a scalene triangle has no congruent sides. So you'll be given questions where you have to identify triangles or find the missing angle measures. And to do that, you have to know that triangles have a total of 180 degrees. So that's different from quadrilaterals, which are 360. So let's look at this triangle over here first. Well, I know that 2 sides are congruent. And so if I go back to think about my previous slide, well, 2 congruent sides means that it is an isosceles triangle. I also notice that it has 2 angles that are less than 90 degrees, and that third angle is a right angle. So it is a right triangle. And now how can I figure out the missing degree measures here? Well, I know this is 180. So the whole triangle is 180 degrees. And then this that we're given is 90. So if I do 180 minus 90, I get 90. So now I have to divide 90 between these 2 angles. So 90 divided by 2 is going to give me 45 degrees for my missing angle measures. Now let's take a look at this triangle over here. Well, the slashes through each side tell me that all the sides are congruent. So this is an equilateral triangle. Now, is it acute, right, or obtuse? Well, all of my angles are acute, so this is an acute equilateral triangle. And how can I figure out the degree measures of each angle in here? Well, I'm simply going to do 180 divided by 3 to get my angle measure. And I get 60 degrees for each of these angles. I have one more example, and if I look at this example, I notice the distance for each sides are given. And 9 is on this side and 9 is on this side. So these 2 sides are congruent. And because they're congruent, that tells me that it's an isosceles triangle. And I can also look at my angles and see that they are all acute. So I have an acute isosceles triangle here. Now, if this angle was 30 degrees, and I'm told that, how can I figure out the missing angles? Well, I know there's 180 degrees in a triangle, so I will subtract 30 from that to get 150 degrees. And now I have 150 that needs to be divided between these two angles. So I will divide that by 2. And I get 75 degrees for the missing angles. For the on your own, I'd like you to identify the triangles as right, acute, obtuse, and then as isosceles, scalene, or equilateral. And then for number 3, I would like you to identify the triangle again, but also find the missing angle measure of the third angle.